With your eyes closed, take a breath in and a breath out. Something I teach a lot, it's called collecting your energy. It's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So think of your day. What we often do without realizing it is we scatter our energy. We might have left a portion of our energy at coffee this morning, or in the lunchroom, or with coworkers or friends. Just think of going back through your day like a bunny rabbit with a basket and picking up your energy wherever you might have deposited. There you go, wherever you filtered it. If you just imagine that, you'll actually feel your energy coming back into your body. A little bit more centered and a little bit more calm. And just breathe deeply and slowly as you do this. In and out. Good. A few more breaths. Feeling grounded, supported, and connected to Mother Earth. A couple little techniques there for grounding. Some people like to put their feet flat on the ground. Other people take their socks off and literally have their feet planted in soil. And the third technique I teach people is imagine a grounding cord. So it's like a tail wider than your hips are, plugged into your lower body, running parallel to your legs and going right into the center of Mother Earth. So from the center of Mother Earth, you can feel the energy coming up that cord into your body, into your root chakra, up into your heart, and from your heart going right back down. So it's like an infinity sign. This is a really powerful way to ground and feel safe and secure. Just breathe. Excellent. Take a few more breaths. And before you open your eyes, just plug into one emotional word that you are. One emotional word. When you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back. Check in on how you are. Welcome back, guys. So if anyone wants to share their emotional word, so I'm recording just me, but I can see you guys on the screen. So if you want to type in your emotional word or say it out loud, it's totally up to you. And you don't have to speak either. But the whole idea of that meditation is to ground you and have you feel safe. How are you guys feeling? Anyone want to share? Love. Nice, Andrea. Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Grounded, more grounded.
Sorry, say that again.
More grounded than
Grounded?
I was here. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so those are really simple techniques. And one that might work for you, Michaela, they're showing you a picture specifically, is putting your feet in soil. And the other part of that meditation, you guys can close your eyes again and do what we just did. The other part of that meditation is to take the cord from your heart and go right up into spirit land, up into sky. The only problem with that, for the two that I have, for the people that are online right now, some of us live in the clouds. So that's why I had you guys ground more. Awesome. So before we get sort of deeper into today's class, I want to check in. Are there any questions or any comments from the material that's presented so far, or how you guys are doing? Anything else that comes to mind before I can just jump into? Does anyone have any questions before I just jump in? We're good? Okay, awesome. If anyone wants some one-to-one coaching, just let me know. Either type it in or say it out loud, and I'll just I don't know how long this is going to be. I'll just start teaching whatever they want me to teach you in reference to the energy section that I'm teaching. Okay, let me start with that. And then feel free to interrupt, type in questions, put your hand up, and I'll grab your questions. And just a reminder, I'm the only one being recorded, so it's all good. Okay, great question that just came through. How do we know if we're not grounded? It's an excellent question. You might feel flighty, you might feel tired, you might, you live in the clouds. Living in the clouds tends to be people who are super spiritual, and they tend to easily forget things, or they tend to walk into walls. I do that all the time. They tend to forget to see if the door's open. Sounds silly. Or they'll tend to forget easily things that are right in front of their face. And some people think of it a little bit like attention deficit. It's similar but different, but they tend not to feel into the planet. That makes sense, Andrea? Good. And it really is very common in spiritual people. And little techniques like I just taught you, the grounding cord, socks off, feet in soil, are super simple. But the other big one when it comes to grounding is safety. Is this feeling of feeling safe on Mother Earth, because a lot of people don't feel safe here. And Mother Earth is Gaia. It's a living, breathing entity that wants us to know that we're supported and loved. And so tracking that energy, like I showed you guys, from your heart right into that grounding cord, into your feet, into Mother Earth, and then right back up, allows you to feel safe and allows you to feel connected. But what a lot of spiritual people do, myself included, is we just like drift off and then we don't feel safe. And then people often ask, why do my manifestations not happen? And sometimes it's because we're not grounded. We're like really, really living up high up in the sky. So, and then the other thing I want to say is, I don't know if you guys have been feeling tired lately, but there was like that strawberry moon a few nights ago. That stuff really whacks us. I've been like exhausted. I had to have a chai earlier today, which is not normal for me in the middle of the day. You're wrecked, not just because your grandmother, I'm sure you're wrecked also. Like almost everyone I'm talking to is exhausted right now. And a lot of that is the moon energy. And the more you know that, your brain can just go, okay, I'm tired. But a lot of it is, they want me to speak to it for a second. I think I was speaking to this on one of my Monday calls. There's a lot of stuff going on the planet. There's the war stuff, the weather stuff, there's the abortion stuff. Like there's so much upheaval, post COVID and travel and all this stuff, that a lot of sensitives are more sensitive to the moon. So there's being aware of that when that happens, being more grounded, knowing this is happening and knowing it's going to pass is the big thing too. It should pass by this weekend and then we should like turn and the energy should start to come back. So they keep telling me not to tell you guys to worry. And what I find when these things happen is it's actually a time for us to kind of go, okay, what is the biggest shadow trauma drama I'm getting asked to look at right now? And a couple of you guys have had recent deaths. So whenever that's occurring, I'm always thinking to myself, do I really believe in afterlife? Do I really believe that there's more than just this? So just dancing with that. Okay. And again, if there's any questions, feel free to type them in. And is there a good color to imagine when doing grounding? Yeah, a lot of people, because grounding is red, it's the lower chakra, the first chakra. So red is a great color to visualize. That red chakra, the first base one, or getting some grounding stones, like you go to the crystal store and pick up dark stones, like I think it's tourmaline, that's a dark one. Any of the darker stones that really ground, or just go into the chakra store and say, I want to ground a chakra, they'll help you out. But the darker ones help you to ground. So, and then grounding meditations, you can do first chakra meditations online or just affirmations like I am safe, I am supported, I am grounded, I am supported. And the other big thing when this is happening is to actually pay attention to what manifestations the universe is giving you to know that you're safe. So for example, I'll grab your question in a second, Michaela. If, for example, if I'm doing grounding exercises, I'll pay attention to little things like getting parking spots or walking down the street and feeling safe and just really paying attention to that feedback. I'm going to just jump to a teaching, come back to Michaela. It's the thing I was teaching all through Energy 101. At each moment, we're putting in an energy, and then energy actually creates our thoughts and our experiences. And then we create the energy, and that creates our thoughts and experiences. And it's like a feedback loop. Okay. It's the chicken or egg, which one comes first? Okay. But we can feel that safety and grounding. And then we have experiences that make us feel more safe and grounded. And then we can feel safe and grounded and have experiences that make us feel more supported or not. And it is that like thought experience, thought manifestation, because we've all experienced the opposite: anxiety, running the nylon, late for work, coffee spills on our dress. We've all experienced that. So now you get to experience the opposite. Question that came in: through grounding work and becoming more grounded, does this grounding work enable access to higher chakras? Yes. For a lot of highly sensitive people, okay, they're saying two parts to that answer. There's two parts. Yes. First off, yes, because we need a solid base to open the upper chakras. So in addition, I'll type in the name of a really well-known teacher who does chakra work, Anodea Judith, and I'll read it out loud for people who are listening. Anodea, Anodea, and Judith is her last name. She's a fabulous chakra teacher, fabulous. And if you go to her website, she's got a zillion freebies, great books out there. And she teaches certain yoga postures that are really great for the first chakras. So like hip openers, back bending, like cobra, they're all really great for lower chakra stuff. And if you don't know, I taught yoga for 10 years. So those are really great to ground us. Okay. So yes, once those are open, and to be honest, that's what happened to me. I did tons of yoga for years. And then my lower chakra is open. Then not when I got pregnant, my upper chakra just popped right open. Then my intuition went off the charts. And that's literally what happened. I didn't know it was going to happen. But the more stable we are in the lower one, the more it opens up to access the higher ones. And I know you asked that question, Michaela. That's part one. Part two, I said there were two parts. Part two is what they're telling me for you specifically, and this will probably overlap to other people listening to the recording, is being conscious if there's a fear of opening the upper chakras. So for example, one of the fears of opening the upper chakras is losing touch with reality. It's a very common fear in spiritual people. And then I always point out people like me. I mean, I'm not the only grounded person who does spiritual work. But the more grounded you are, and I think that's why I went through medical school first, because I had to be super grounded to open the upper ones. But people have that fear. So your upper chakras won't open, even if you're super grounded, if you're afraid. Okay. And that's super important because a lot of people who are incredibly psychic have childhood memories of psychic visions and then shutting them down. So you have to work through those fears of releasing those fears. And then you have to work with your guides to say, please only show me that which is the highest and greatest good. And I always say to people, yeah, sometimes I see icky stuff, but I know techniques to move that stuff out, to bring in light and to understand that there is dark and that that's okay. But it's my relationship with dark, which helps me to be more in the light. And so I don't have as many fears of opening the upper ones, but I would look if there are fears because that'll also block it. So I hope that helps. Hope that answered the question.
It helps.
Awesome. Thanks. Awesome. And just if there are any questions, just type them in. I'll just keep going here. As most of you know, I can teach nonstop. All right. So the next thing they want to speak about, in addition to what I've already talked on the Energy 101, so loud. The biggest thing they're saying is, please tell them to be conscious to what they're vibrating. It's actually super important because what we're vibrating is going to be the exact match of what we're experiencing. And sometimes and there's no such thing as a bad, and this is so loud for somebody who's listening to the recording or live. There's no such thing as a bad vibration or a good vibration. In humanness, we think joy is good and fear is bad, and that's not true. Fear is just an emotion and love is just an emotion. And I just want you to sit with that. Fear is just an emotion and love is just emotion. There's not a right or wrong. It just is. And the more neutral we can be with that, the much, much, much easier it is. And love just feels better than fear. But they just said to me, please tell them you cannot escape fear. So if you think I walk around all day, every day, happy and joyful, no. I have moments that I'm, I call it skidding the ice. I'm human, but when I'm skidding the ice, I don't make it a big deal. And I want you to remember I talked about the 5 steps manifestation by Abraham in the Energy 101 videos. And I'll just remind you of them. Step 1 is you ask the universe, I want a boyfriend. You ask the universe, I want $1 million. You ask the universe, I want a full coaching business or whatever it is. Step 2, the universe answers, but it's answered in non-physical. Step 3 is you have to get comfortable with allowing, which means relax, chill out, be present, chill, breathe, sit outside, get some sun, breathe. Step 4, you just get really good at that. And the thing is, even if you're not consciously allowing, people allow all day, every day without realizing. So I'll give you an example. If you drink coffee or tea, the first couple of sips in the morning when you're drinking it, even if you're not aware, you're in that most people, you're in that full on allowing space of just like, okay. So even if you're not aware of any universal laws, you're not aware of the Abraham work, people allow all day, every day, even without awareness. Okay. Now that's step 3. And step 4 is you're consciously allowing and getting good at it. It just becomes your natural way of being. It's like, okay, I'm just going to allow, but it becomes more natural. Now, step 5, this is what I'm speaking to. When contrast occurs, you realize it's not a big deal. You're like, okay. And that's more of a master skill. So when I say to you guys, of course I wobble. A lot of times when I wobble, I'm like, okay, this is contrast. Not a big deal. And I know clarity is right around the corner because I've had too many experiences that as soon as I hit, ice skating of contrast. I'm like, oh, on the other side is tremendous clarity. And that is a muscle or a tool in your head that you need to remember. And I work with clients all the time about relationship stuff and this and that and the other thing. And what I always am telling people is that it's never ending growth, because manifestation is not necessarily about getting that husband or getting that $1 million check. It's about the process and the growth and the journey along the way. Because if you woke up one day and got everything you wanted, then what's the point of life? The point of life is to evolve our soul and to never stop growing. Because one thing I say a lot is the only thing you can die with is your spiritual process. You cannot die with your Mercedes. You cannot die with your child. You cannot die with your $3 million home. But the one thing you will take it with you is your spiritual growth, AKA your ability to love, AKA your ability to forgive, AKA your ability to be present. And it's probably the most important thing you will ever do in your life, is to actually learn presence. I'm going to keep going. And again, if there's questions, please type them in, because I can do them at the same time, because I have a feeling there might be some that come up. They might want me to speak to presence for a second. Presence is exactly that. It's our ability to be in our essence. I'm going to take you into mini meditation right now just to practice it. And I know if you're driving, no big deal. You can do this after. But just take a second to close your eyes and take a few breaths in and out. Just be present. And with your eyes closed and your presence here, just breathe. There's an expression I use a lot that you may have heard me say, where I tell you to bring in your divine support team. What the heck does that mean? So on the human planet, you're not alone. Just think of all the times you had a gut feeling or an intuitive nudge or an inner knowing. And I guarantee you've had that more than once in your life. Just think back to that. That gut feeling, that inner knowing that came from somewhere. The place in the spiritual world we say it comes from is from these energies called our guides. And you don't have to believe it. Doesn't matter. You don't have to believe it. But there's energies here to support us. And in my language, we call it guides, your divine support team, your angels, your ancestors. And I love to visualize that they are circling like a circle around me. So as your breath deepens and you get calmer and quieter inside, just let their presence come around you like a circle. As you breathe deeper and slower, calmer and easier, you may find it easier to connect with them. Even if as you're doing this, your mind might think you're making it up, but you're not. And just breathe here. And the more you imagine that that energy is there, the more it will be there. And your ability to connect with them when you're calm and things are easy and fluid, even the slightest feeling way, will make it easier when you can't find that parking spot, or your partner and you are yelling, or there's chaos. So I encourage you, there you go, come back to your breathing. Start to become aware and conscious of that presence. And breathe. And take a few more breaths. And before you open your eyes, simply notice how you're feeling. That's the key. And once you notice how you're feeling, whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes and simply type into the chat box or say out loud what the emotion is that you're feeling right now. There's absolutely no rush. Just keep breathing. Lightness. And there's nothing, you can't do this wrong, and especially if that's the first, second, third time you've ever done it, enlightened. It is, I visualize it like I'm plugging my cord into the plug outlet. And the more often you do that, the more meditations get easier, The more often you do that, one of the reasons people see me, and there's lots of reasons people see me. One of the reasons people see me is because of my ability to connect, my ability to receive messages, my intuition, which is one of my favorite things in the world to do, just so you know. And intuition, we all have it. We all have it. But the key to intuition is being plugged in and being centered and being calm and to receive it. The other energy that somebody wrote in was warmth. That's beautiful. Beautiful. I thought the word before Michaela. Okay, yeah, light, exactly. So lightness, warmth, enlightened, all of those feelings is your connection. I'm going to say one more thing and see if there's any questions. I was working with a client today and we were talking about health issues. There's a really great book by John Ronald Price. You'll hear me quote him a lot. If you guys do next month with me when I'm doing abundance, he's an author that I quote a lot. I'll type his name into the chat box. John Randolph Price. I have a lot of great favorite authors. He's one of them. He wrote a book, and the title is going to evade me in a few minutes. I know it will. But he wrote a book about, getting your maximum health, getting your maximum wealth, all those kinds of things. And all he talks about over and over and over again is about our vibration. So one of you wrote in, I felt enlightened. One of you wrote in, I felt light. And one of you wrote in, I felt safe and warm. That's a feeling in your energy body. And I was working with a client today about a health thing. And she's tried everything, nutrition, medications, all, which is normal. And people go down this path typically when they've tried everything. Because we're stubborn, right? Can't be that easy. And it's easy and it's not, because to get yourself into that vibrational space like you just did, more often is work. But the more you're there, the more that the body can heal. The more you're there, the more that the relationship can show up. The more you're there, the more money can show up. And the more you're there, you start to trust the universe. You start to trust manifestations. You start to trust the process. I often teach the word trust stands for to rely unto source totally. That's all it is to rely unto all of who you are completely. And that's hard because we're control freaks. And if we let go, what's possible? The question that came in is, if fear and love are the same vibration, then how does the vibe we're putting out different? Yeah, it's a great question. They're kind of like opposite ends, right? So I talk a lot about, you guys know I talk with my hands a lot. They're talking about opposite ends of the same stick. They're opposite ends of the same stick. So they are different, yet similar, right? But they are different vibrations. So the feeling of fear is different than the feeling of love. But what I was saying earlier is what's not wrong or right. They're just different. Okay, they're opposite. Just like hot water, cold water. God, I love a hot shower. Just like money or no money, they're opposites. And we'll be doing that in the month of July around abundance. Okay, but they feel different. So putting them out is different. So in the energy class I teach a lot about the concept of getting general. It's one of my favorite techniques to get into the vibration of love. And I'll show you guys how I do. I teach this all the time. It's my favorite. My window in my living room, which is what I'm sitting in right now, faces out towards Cypress Street, which is if you're in Vancouver, it's a bike road. And I have like cherry tree blossoms and green bushes, and I watch bikers go by. I'm a couple blocks to Kitts Beach, and I see a mailbox, and I see young, healthy people and older, healthy people. And it just feels vibrant. So what I do is I look out the window and I hear, oh, there's a golden retriever. There's a dog with a ball in his mouth. And I do that a lot. And one of the reasons I do that is, if you notice as I'm doing it, oh, there's a person on a bike. Oh, there's a person with a tree. Oh, look, there's a pink flower. Oh, look, there's two young kids. Oh, look, there's a baby. I do that all the time in my mind. What happens is my vibration becomes more of love. Now my vibration is more of ease. Vibration is more of flow, more of gratitude, more of appreciation, more of awe. That if I'm in that vibration, then what comes in is a similar match. And as soon as Divi, because I'm still Divi, goes to try to figure things out, she loses that vibration. She loses that vibration. She's like, I become like a person who's walking through a dark cave, not being able to see. That's what I become. But if I get off the topic, and I'll teach that in 1 second. If I get off the topic and just feel good, everything in my life starts to work out. I'm going to grab this next question, then I'll come back and finish that. What vibe should I be in most? Gratitude? I think I am, but what way more to happen? Okay. Really, gratitude energy is the main one I feel. And awe is the other one for you. Awe or ease, or that attitude of like, yes. And the other thing I would suggest, I'm going to teach you two or three other things. Some of them might be a repeat of the energy technique ones, just so you guys know. I just taught this in my intuitive coach training class, my 1-year class, and I'm going to again get some more pens. You might have already heard this in my videos. I have a lot of techniques I teach over and over again, but because they all work and I do them all the time. Okay. So imagine I had 4 different topics in my life. See, there's pens and pencils here. They're all different colors. And each topic represents a different area of my life. This one represents my son. This represents my dog. This represents, I'm making these things up just so you know, my bank account, and this represents my business. I picked 4 topics where things are going pretty well, but whatever. Let's just say one of these topics in my life was not working. Let's just say this one was not working. Let's just say my bank account, whatever. Let's just say this is not working, okay? What I say to people is, don't talk about it. Just don't. Throw it over there. Because what we do as humans is we try to analyze it. Let me figure it out. But that's not using universal law. Remember step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? The less you talk about it, and the more you talk about your dog being great, the more you talk about how much you love your kid, the more you talk about how blessed you are, then that one I just threw across the room, and I've done this hundreds of times. The more I do that, the more that one works out. It's absolutely crazy because it's so opposite of human nature. Because human nature is to go pick up that pen and wrestle it to the ground. And if you understand energy, if you've read any of the Abraham Hicks work, there's one of my favorite books by them is Ask and It's Given. If you actually understand that work deep to your core, you'll understand that there's actually nothing to figure out. Nothing. The only thing we have to practice is being, because if we've asked the universe for whatever we want, they've already sent it to us in vibration. We have to allow it. Then why are we freaking out? Right? So that was one technique I want to teach you because it's a super powerful technique and it's super hard for humans because we love to regurgitate our problems. I was teaching this last night in the intuitive coach training program, and there's probably about 30 people, and a bunch of them are forming a small subgroup for the next 30 days to not talk about whatever the problem is, which is a great idea. 30 days of not talking about what I just threw across the room is worth a try because maybe you've tried for 9 months or 3 years to figure that out. And it usually doesn't work. So if you try not to talk about it and try to talk about everything else that is working, it's an experiment, see what happens. Great question. Is there a good energy vibration to duplicate in order to tune into your higher self? It's a great question. And I'm gonna clean up that question just because I love you so much. So take out the idea of a good vibration. I'm just being picky. So the just teasing. The vibration to tune into higher self is love. It's love. It's super simple. It's love. It's love, worthiness, and that worthiness is for you specifically, but for a lot of people who are listening to the recording this. Love, worthiness, because this is how it works. You come onto the planet of pure worthiness and love and empowerment. The 3 main attributes of your soul: power, wisdom, and love. You are infinitely capable, you are infinitely powerful, and you're infinitely wise. So the more you hold up the vibration of power, wisdom, and love, the easier it is to tune into them. Much easier. I'll say one more thing and to finish up to that question. Our higher self is always there. And as a lot of you guys know, I teach that 1-year intuitive coach training program. And I just want so you understand how it's structured. For 6 months, and I'm so glad because I'm coming to the end of my 6 months right now, because we start in January. So I'm like, oh, thank God, we're almost in June right now. January to June is a lot of heavy lifting for me because I'm teaching them how to, excuse my language, take their shit out, like get rid of their unforgiveness, get rid of their anger, not get rid of it, but how to heal it. And it's work. So I do that a lot from January to June. That once I've done that, then it gets easier because once they've learned how to move that stuff out, then all that's left is your intuition and your higher self. And of course, you're going to pull that stuff back in, going to pull in your anger, pull in your confusion for sure. But once you learn techniques to kind of go, I don't need to worry about that right now and let in love, then your intuition takes off. because the less garbage you carry around, the more your intuition just goes right up. The next question is, what is the difference between someone who never thinks about any of this, but yet amazing things happen to them? There's an expression, it's a great question. There's an expression from the Bible that says the meek will rule the world. I think Jesus said it. I've never read the Bible, but I do know certain quotes. The meek shall rule the world. And what that means is if they don't think or worry too much, things just go great for them. It's crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy. Because, and what we want to understand, and I think this is super important to answer that question, all of our subconscious, unconscious is what creates a reality, okay? And our subconscious and unconscious from our childhood. And no one has, they don't want me to say to everybody listening with that question, no one's got an easy phase through life. They're showing a picture of a car with a gas pedal. No one's got a gas pedal for the easy phase through life. Everybody has something different to work on. And if anyone knows that, I do. Oh my God. I work with some of the most wealthiest people you ever meet. And I work with some of the people who can barely eat a peanut butter sandwich. Everybody has something. And for some people, it looks like, oh, like people look at me and go, trouble with relationships, or, trouble, whatever. But I have trouble in other areas of my life, right? And, generally I do quite well with business creation. But then I have other troubles in other areas. We all have something. And I think that's really important for us to understand. We look at other people and go, they get easy straight. Our soul is always here to learn something. So contrast always exists for everybody in a different way. That's super important. But it's to understand too that some people work with universal laws without even realizing it. And I think that's so cool. But a lot of times it's because they don't think or worry or kind of figure things out as much. Again, that expression by Jesus, the meek will rule the world. So I hope that helped with that question. It's a great question, guys. Great question. They're saying to pause and time out and check in if you guys have any personal coaching questions or any other questions, or I'm happy to keep going. But my guys are saying time out for a second. Don't know why. So I'll just give it a second. See where you guys are at. Great questions, by the way. No, they said keep going. Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to teach you guys a couple more things before you wrap. Okay, it's very loud. If you think of a volume switch, 0, I always think of, I'm a very quantitative person. Think of a volume switch, 0 to 100. How much can I love? How much can I feel free? How much can I have gratitude? And if you think you're 10 out of 10, I guarantee you there's 20. If you think you're 20 to 20, 10, I guarantee you there's 30. The beautiful thing about this work is your heart can heal and your heart has infinite capacity to love. So if you want to go to close your eyes and go right to your heart. And see if you can open it just a little bit more. And maybe just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. There you go. Just a little bit more. There you go. And the more you do that, you can see the heart has infinite capacity. And just keep breathing. Good. Really good. I love that technique. Whenever I think I'm in gratitude, I'm like, oh, maybe I can, not necessarily that's better to be in more gratitude, but create more momentum and just see what it feels like. It's kind of like a fun game. Whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. A lot of working with energy manifestation, what June is all about, is about having fun. It's about dancing in vibration. It's about not taking it seriously. It's about, I call it a game because it is. It's fun. It's like, see what the universe is going to give me. See what can come my way. I'll give you an example. I'm teaching, this is again, sometimes I'll give you very personal things because I want you to know I'm just as human as you guys are. So I have a course that's launching in July. Some of you might have heard of it. It's called the Dark to Light program. I just put on my website. I just started putting on social media. I'm teaching it with 2 other intuitive coaches and these 2 young guys I'm teaching it with. And, we've been spending a month or 2 building to this course. It's been really fun. And in that month or 2 that I build to a course, I live the course. So I actually go through what clients go through, and it's always super interesting. That's why I haven't taught a relationship course in a while. I'm teasing you, but I really haven't. Got a relationship course coming up in August. So I usually, because it's like, okay, I'm going to really go through stuff with my husband. It's be fun. Anyways, so I've got this Dark to Light program starting in July, and we just announced it a few days ago. And I had 2 introductory calls today for it and 2 yesterday for it. Like just people, I have these complimentary calls where people can ask me questions about it, whatever it is. So I had 2 yesterday and 2 today, and I was driving home from dropping my son off at school this morning, and I could hear that imposter kicking in. the imposter is the part of us who doesn't think we can do what we do. I could hear her going, who are you to do this? Why do you think anyone will sign up to that? What are you doing? And I could just hear her. And I was like, oh God, here she is. And because I do this work, and I went down that rabbit hole for a little while, I was like, oh shit, right. Who takes a course in the summer? What are you doing? Why are you starting a course in July? You're an idiot. And like, I could hear my inner dialogue. And then as soon as I start to see that, remember in the energy manifestation thing, one of the biggest things I'm trying to teach you guys to do is to observe. Because for about 10 minutes this morning, it was in me. I'm like, ah! And then I could feel the physiological. Then as I got closer to home, I'm like, okay, let's just observe this. Well, this is my imposter. And I talk about it out loud in the car. This is my imposter. She says, I can't do anything. She says, what am I doing? I can see you there. And as soon as I do that, it loses grip on me. And then what I did in that moment was like, what, and a very common technique is, what is your why? What's the why? So my why for that course is because I'm really a big person about transformation. And I do know everybody who signs up for that is going to have transformation. Like this course, I'm huge about transformation. So everything I teach is transformation. And as soon as I held that, I was like, okay, I feel still. I feel good. Of course, the 2 calls I did today, people were like, I want to sign up, right? I was like, okay, right? But you see, I could have stayed in that rabbit hole I was in this morning, or I can observe it, do a technique. What's my why, which is the technique I used this morning. It's like, right. And then my what's my why takes me back into my heart. My why is because I love. My why is because I know what it's like to be in pain. My why is because I know what it's like to feel better. And I just go on and on. I build a momentum there, then all of a sudden it lifts. Then all of a sudden I'm back to service. That's another technique. Okay, 2 questions that just came in. What is the number one thing for us on the call to let go of? Worry. That's the big one that's coming the most. Worry. Someone else who's listening to the recording, it's anger. It's not about letting go of anger, but it's looking at what's under the anger, which is almost always sadness. And then if it's worry for somebody else on the call, it's looking at why I worry. So somebody on this call live likes to worry a lot, which is totally cool. But the question to ask yourself is, this is again an energy technique. What's my payoff? How does that serve me? Typically for a lot of people, worrying a lot is a way for them to stay busy with their mind. Well, I'm doing something about it, right? Like if I'm worrying, then I'm doing something. It's a great thought, but are you really, right? And really it's challenging what the payoff is. So just something to play with. Okay. The other question that came in, what is the best way to improve our own worthiness on a subconscious level? This is how you do it. Okay, close your eyes, hand on your heart. And it's a process. It's not overnight. It's a process. Okay. Hand on your heart. It's sentences like, I am love. I am source. I am the divine. The divine and I are one. I am a divine attribute of source. And just notice what happens to the cells underneath your hand. Just notice what happens to your body. And just notice what happens to your breathing. And breathe. There you go. The more you do that, Andrea, the more you do little techniques like that, the more when you shift in your body, you shift in the subconscious. And there's always going to be a part of you that's, I'm not, just like you saw me driving home from my son's school today. It's going to be there. Because like I taught in Energy 101, everything is opposite. Hot, cold, worthy, not. But when you hit the not worthy, like if I turn on the cold tap when I'm showering, I just turn it to the hot tap. If I turn on the not worthy, I do a technique like that. And if you haven't opened your eyes, feel free to. But techniques like that are powerful to go into your body, to retrace that neural pathway. Okay, I'm going to wind down in just a second. I want to make sure there's no other questions, and I'll do a closing meditation. I'm going to make sure there's no other questions and just check in, and I'll tell you what's coming up for energy manifestation for the rest of the month. So I'll give you guys a second to make sure there's other questions. Okay, I want me to, before I close out, before I tell you what's coming up, take a second and take those deep belly breaths. And ask yourself, how much do I breathe? How much do I trust? And how much am I present? And the big thing to remember is it's 2 steps forward, half a step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. You don't get from point A to point B. I've just been doing this a long time. That's all, just a long time. That's it. The question that just came in. If you're vibrating a strong frequency, do the bad things in your life start to fall away? Yes. Yes. If you start to vibrate at a higher vibration, yes. The bad things, the bad, quote unquote, start to pit. Yes, yes, yes. They're saying yes. Just it's a consistent, more vibration at the higher level. Yes, I hope that helps. So what's coming up? I'm going to post a couple more energy videos, just small ones like this. And then for the month of July, which is like in 2 weeks, we'll be starting abundance, which will be like it's a natural topic after energy manifestation. So I'd love to have you guys. And we start that the first Thursday of July, but I'm just checking what the date is. But July 1st, I'll start to post stuff on, it's not called Shobi, it's called Kajabi. Let me just check when July 1st is, 1 sec. Or the first Thursday of July is July 7th. So I'll do a live call then, but I'll keep posting on Kajabi and you guys will see us, and feel free to put stuff in the discussion board. Make sure there's no questions. And before we close out, just close your eyes. Imagine we're standing in a circle holding hands. Good. Just take a few deep breaths in. Beautiful. Feel the love that's shared back and forth, back and forth. Belly rises and falls. And just check in with your frequency before you open your eyes. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back. I hope that helped. And thank you so much for showing up live. That was so fun, guys. So fun. And yeah, I will post some other fun stuff between now and the end of the month. And then July 1st, I'll move into abundance, which is really, I'm pretty sure it's abundance, which is a natural topic after this. If anyone's interested in the Dark to Light program, check out my website. I start that July 12th. I'm a busy girl. And I love what I do. So I'm actually less busy than I actually say. I've cut back on my one-to-ones a bit. I'm teaching more. So thank you all for coming into the Radiate program. I've been loving it. So thank you. And I will see you guys on a couple of days on Kajabi. It's called on the website, and feel free to post in the community board. So big love, everybody. Have fun. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ciao.